Hi, I'm Atiya. I work at Aangan. Aangan is a child protection organization, and we are concerned with strengthening child protection systems. We're concerned with strengthening formal as well as informal child protection systems because we think that all children everywhere have the right to be safe. And when we talk about safety, we really mean that they have the right to be in school, they have the right to have support of community and family, and that above all else, they should be safe from harms like child trafficking, child labor, child marriage, and exploitation. We are seeing a lot of action, I think, on social media where people are wanting to help. Because the fact of the matter is, as we all know, there is people are dying. And when people die, they leave other people behind. And, some of those people are children. So even in our work, we're seeing a lot of children who have lost one or both parents. And so I do understand the instinct of why citizens are feeling like they need to step up and do something. And at this point, I guess, because of where we are with this pandemic and with what the medical situation has been, where people have found that they have to fend for themselves, that systems aren't working. So that instinct of going to social media and going to your friends and going to, the broader community and looking for help, that's something that, has worked for us in the medical context. But I think when it comes to children, I think we do have to understand that that's just not how it can work. Because after all, a child is not just an object, So when we find a child, that child is not an object devoid of history or devoid of a connection to extended family or to a community. And that child must have the right to enjoy those things. So we can't just pluck that child up from where that child is and take her off, even though, we might have the child's best interest at heart and be very well-intentioned human beings. I think the other thing that maybe people don't understand is that, India is a global leader in child trafficking. And the internet, social media, these spaces, there are predators, there are child traffickers who are out there. And are you going to take the responsibility once you put out a message like that to ensure that that child is not picked up by somebody who has very bad intentions? So, we have to be more careful. I think when we see these social media posts, we must intervene. The idea is not to say don't intervene, because there is a child and that child needs help. And so we must intervene, but we must intervene with the system. There are government guidelines, where the government is asking us to connect with Childline. Childline, the number is 1098, and that's a national helpline, or to go to the police, or to go to the Child Welfare Committee. Now, you as a citizen, you and I as citizens, we might say, oh God, that's too hard. Like, that's too terrible. We might be cynical. We might have no faith in those systems. But I think this is what we have to do. We have to be able to call those numbers. So imagine you called Childline, you called 1098. At the end of the day, that person is a member of an NGO, who works as a Childline worker. So what can you do to support that person, to support that child? During the pandemic, it's difficult for everyone. Everyone has to sort of traverse disease and fear and anxiety and all of this. So I think what we have to think about is what can we do at this time to support systems to ensure that children are taken care of. So rather than be cynical and avoid the system, I think the idea at this point should be to work with the system, to follow up, to be on the phone, to keep calling, to find out what happened with the child. When we force accountability from systems, then they do actually work. At least that has been our experience with child protection systems. So what I really would urge is for us to not just say that this is a matter that we will take into our own hands, because at the end of the day, that's actually dangerous for children.